Hi, welcome to another edition of our Thursday night's class. Tonight's class is sponsored by Ilu Nishmat, Amran Yechiel Ben Baruch Chizkel, Te'en Nafshot Tzura B'Tzorah Chaim Began Eden Ha'Elyon Mikol HaTzadikim HaChasidim, Amen ve'Amen. So, we want to discuss a little bit interesting stuff. We're going to read Parashat Devarim. We have to read before Shabbat. That's what, that's late. We do it normally in the Seder. And also, it's a unique Tisha B'Av. We began speaking about it. Not unique, it happens pretty often, but it's an opportunity for Israel. It's called Shabbat Nidchet. It's the Shabbat that we don't fast on, right? The 9th day of Av is Friday night and Saturday. But on Shabbat we don't fast, so we're going to fast. Hopefully we won't fast. Mashiach will come before that. But God forbid if we have to fast, we'll fast Saturday night, Sunday instead. So it's pushed off. I think I said last week in the Sifei Kabbalah, many Sfarim. Chaim Falaji also writes about it at length. It says, Kivan de'idche idche. Since it was pushed off, it's a special opportunity for Am Yisrael should be pushed off forever. So it's a big, a year like this is a special year. And even in halakha, it has implications. Not that I'm looking to give anybody ideas of leniencies. Everybody has to fast Shabbat. Let's get that into our heads. It's not a regular fast. It's like Kippur. But on the Shabbat Nidche, there's certain eterim for different people, pregnant women, nursing women, on a case-to-case basis. Each one should consult with their rabbi. There's a lot of leniency. So we see that there's a certain level of avelut that's a little bit lesser, that it's like a certain ray of hope in the tragedy that God gives, that it's an opportunity. But tonight I want to discuss a little bit what we could do actually to come to the Shabbat prepared that we should stand a good chance that Mashiach should come. So I call the class Proud to be a Jew. And really that was because that was the first thing came to my head. But it wasn't stam, it was because of what I was learning. I normally talk what I was learning that day. So listen to what I was learning about today. It's very interesting. The Torah says when Moshe Rabbeinu comes to talk to Am Yisrael, Ele hadevarim asher diber Moshe kol Yisrael. Moshe Rabbeinu is coming to talk to Am Yisrael. Comes the Torah and says like this. Rashi says, Rashi writes, Ele hadevarim, Moshe Rabbeinu has been talking since Chumash Shemot already. Since he was born, he's been talking. He took the Jews out of Egypt. He unlimited what he did. He was the leader of Am Yisrael, the manhig of Am Yisrael. This is what Moshe Rabbeinu is saying. Second of all, he talks to them about old stuff. It's like he went back in time. Now Moshe Rabbeinu woke up to talk about old stuff. The whole Chumash Devarim really, in a way, is like a review of the Chumashim. What are we doing over here? What was he trying to accomplish? Comes Rashi and writes like this, I'm quoting, word for word. Lefi shehem divrei tochachot. Being that this was Moshe Rabbeinu's time, that he felt obligated to rebuke the Jewish nation for different things that they've done wrong throughout his life. And he was going to tell them tochacha, musar, about all the times that they got HaKadosh Baruch Hu upset. Satam et advarim. He hid the things. He put it into like a puzzle, into a maze, into secrets. V'hiskir beremez. And he only hinted it to them. He didn't confront them. Why? Mipnei kibodam shel Yisrael. Because of the honor, of the respect of Am Yisrael. Moshe Rabbeinu knows he's passing away soon. This is his chance to tell the Jews, hey, wake up. He doesn't get up there and bash anybody. He doesn't come with speeches, and he doesn't threaten, and he doesn't say all these things that I heard this week in different recordings that people sent me of the world coming to doomsday. Not at all, just the opposite. Rashi writes, Eila Devarim. First he waited all the way to the end of his life. He didn't say anything right away. And then after waiting until all the way to the end of his life, he said only beremez, only hinted to them. Why? Mishum kivodam shel Yisrael, for the respect of Am Yisrael, to respect each and every individual. But Rashi's not done. Rashi goes on. And Rashi explains, what does it mean? How did he hint to them? So for example, it says in the Pasuk, one of the words, Bamidbar. What is Bamidbar? Rashi says, B'shvil shechisu Bamidbar. Because they got angry in the Midbar. Why? When they said, Mi ten mutenu Bamidbar, they said they wish Baminan that Hashem should have killed them in the desert. Ba'arava, what does it mean Ba'arava? So Rashi explains, In the Arava they did it in the sin of Avodah Zarah, Baal Peor, Baal Peor is Avodah Zarah. Wait a second. Am Yisrael goes and does a sin of Avodah Zarah, Moshe Rabbeinu is the leader, and he stays quiet for years and years and doesn't say a word, and waits to the end of his life, and even then doesn't tell them straight to their face, tells it to them in a hint. Lo aleinu v'lo alechem, we should never know what this means. Somebody came home one day and saw somebody bowing down to a Buddha statue, one of his relatives. How's he going to respond? What are you, crazy? What got into you? You're a Jewish person. Rashi says that Moshe Rabbeinu taught us to do otherwise. You're responding out of impulse, out of emotion, not out of brains, not out of sechel. It's not a mitzvah tochacha. You're just going to cause damage. You're not going to do any good. Stay quiet. Don't say anything. Second of all, even if there is a time that we do have to say something, don't say it directly. You're going to insult the person. You're going to hurt the person's feelings. You're going to break the person. That's not going to gain anything. What are you trying to gain? The pasuk says, the mitzvah tochacha, v'lo tisa alav chet. Make sure that your tochacha is not going to be one big sin. Make sure that your tochacha is not going to be one big sin. Maybe you're looking at me like I'm crazy about statues. Like, who bows down to statues? No? That's what it sounds like. So I'll tell you what I saw with my own eyes. This I saw, it was 1996. I learned in Eretz Yisrael in the yeshiva, and I used to go for Shabbatot to my uncle, Rav Nisim Yagen, Zechat Tzadik Kadosh V'Chas Chutei Yagen Alei. And one Friday night, there was always 30, 40, 50 guests. Like on a bad week, it was 30 guests. That was like, something's wrong. His wife, she also passed away recently, Big Tzadikah. She didn't have pots like you have in your kitchens. She had commercial-sized pots. And she wasn't a tall woman, she was very short. She had to go on a step stool, 3 steps up on a ladder in order to be able to cook. That's the way she used to cook. Cooking for 50, 60 people it's not a joke. It's a big operation. It's an amazing thing. And not one week. Year round, every single week, every holiday, every meal for years and years and years, maybe 30 years straight at least, could be even more. So one of the weeks I was there, and so this used to do some weeks for yeshiva boys, because the yeshiva boys liked coming. You would give them chizuk, also foods, they would sing, they would drink, that. They liked coming. But Nissen didn't like when the yeshiva boys came, and he also had a whole bunch of non-religious people, because the yeshiva boys back then didn't have phones. So they were protected and sheltered and naive, and he wasn't looking to open their eyes to things they weren't exposed to. So there were certain weeks that were dedicated to the more secular Jews. So one of the weeks that I was there was a week that was more dedicated to secular Jews. And it was like a co-ed week. There must have been 40, 50 people, I don't know exactly, guys and girls. Sleeping space he didn't have, so the neighbors were divided. If his kids didn't come home from yeshiva on Shabbat, then he had one guest room that he would have for sleeping space. So that week I was privileged to stay in the house. Normally I would come for the meal, but then I would have to find myself where to sleep at night. But that week I had a guest room, so I was there the whole Shabbat. It was like a unique week. We go to shul Friday night, and he takes all the men with him, even the not so observant ones. He didn't force them. He said, I'm going to synagogue. You guys want to come, come. If not, stay with my wife. She'll tell you stories. That's what he used to say. So they felt there. They came. We used to pray by Cham Ben Tziona Basha'u, Zechat Tzadik Kadosh V'Chas Chutei Yagen Alei. Cham Ben Tziona already wasn't feeling so well in 96 already, but we used to pray there. Cham Ben Tziona used to give Rav Nissen to speak. Cham Ben Tziona himself didn't speak, he gave Rav Nissen to speak. You could verify this, everybody knows this. We went to shul. We come back from shul. Now, figure we're about 25 men at least, because the rest were women there. So it's 25 guys walking to a house at once. This is not Queens, big mansions and that. This is Rehov Sorotskin, 23 in Yerushalayim, tiny apartments. What's there? Opposite the female Beit Mikdash, BJJ. That's what it was. Now they moved, I think, or they're moving. But that's what it was. Come into the house, it's a big deal. And this used to always walk in first, because he wanted to make sure everything's ready for the guests. He was a big machnis oreach. Walks in, there's a girl, one of the girls is a guest for Shabbat, who's on the couch, bent over, with some statue that looks like I don't know what, in front of her, and she's bowing down. And this had no chachmas, but him there was none. He didn't talk to her. He went, he took the statue, threw it up into the air. It fell down, it was made out of whatever it's called, earthenware, I don't know, something like that. I think shattered to a million pieces. Don't ask me in the Chot Shabbat if that's permissible or not, I don't know. But whatever, he knew what he was doing, I don't know what he did there. Maybe he didn't even think, it was a mekalkel, he wasn't looking to it. And the girl was ready to kill. So what'd you do? So what do you mean? He says, this is my God. So he said, okay, drop dead. Let's make him a funeral now. Look at him. The second of all, why are you upset at me? Until now you had one God. Now he's in 80 pieces. You have 80 gods. What could be better? And that was the first time in my life that I was exposed that there could be a Jewish person that's an Oved Avodah Zarah today. I never thought there was such a thing. That was it. So this is not far-fetched. But this man had the ability to do that because 3 minutes later he was already joking around. Everybody was laughing and happy, and the girl walked out of Shabbat by Saturday night. But today, if somebody would do that to somebody else, you'd kill the guy forever. He's going to hate Judaism forever. Moshe Rabbeinu sees Am Yisrael doing Baal Poro. Instead of fighting with them, waits to the end of his life and he hints to them. Ba'arava. Mul Suf. Yam Suf, Rashi explains. Why? That when they came to Yam Suf and they were scared, they didn't know how they're getting out. They were surrounded, as we all know. So they said, like, what's going to be over here? We could have died in Egypt, we didn't have to die here. And so on. Rashi explains piece after piece what's going on. Even about the Machloket, the Korach, even about Chet HaEgel. He didn't say Chet HaEgel, he said Dizav. Moshe Rabbeinu on Chet HaEgel broke the Luchot. That's a pretty extreme move, no? And with breaking the Luchot, which we once explained recently in a shiur, he still didn't tell him anything. Then he said, Mila Hashem Elai, whoever wants come to me. Gave him the choice, didn't fight with nobody. And afterwards, same story. Dizav. Remember, there was something with gold. Do tshuva about it. It's smart to do tshuva about it. What do you mean Dizav? They made an egel. Tell him, hey, you're going to go to hell. You better do tshuva before you die. It's not a joke. Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to teach Am Yisrael forever and forever. That ain't going to work. That's just going to do damage. And therefore, you wait, and you say it in a hint, in a way that the other person doesn't feel uncomfortable. What's the psychology behind it? Let's say somebody makes a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes. And he's confronted by the mistake. So some people are not honest, so now they go into denial and whatever. But those who are honest, so he says, thank you very much. I didn't realize. Thank you. I learned something. Right? But at the end of the day, the next day he sees you, and now he's embarrassed because he knows that you know his mistakes in life. So he doesn't feel comfortable to see you anymore. Why do people that help others, especially that help others in tough situations, are the ones that have the most enemies in the world? Because the ones that they helped are embarrassed to them afterwards because they feel indebted forever. So the only way is to fight them, to spit in their face. What did Moshe Rabbeinu do with his brilliance? He taught us a system. He said, he waited until right before he dies, so Am Yisrael doesn't have to see him anymore afterwards. They won't be embarrassed. Look how far Moshe Rabbeinu went to protect Am Yisrael's dignity on what? Dizav, the Egel, Baal Peor, Avodah Zarah, the worst sins in the world. Even in those situations, how far he went to protect their dignity. He went to such an extreme just to protect Klal Yisrael's dignity. Unbelievable. So Moshe Rabbeinu, the Ayam Me'emna, the one that God says, this is the giving over of the Torah, taught us that if somebody is allowed to be mochiach, in most cases you're not allowed to in the first place, but if somebody is allowed to be mochiach and he's on that level, there's only one way to do it. In Hebrew we call it kfafot shel meshi, with silk gloves, gentle, soft, hinting, not in a way. And another piece of psychology, when you tell somebody tochacha with a hint, so now you give him the opportunity to make believe he didn't understand it. So he doesn't have to be embarrassed. If you tell him straight, he's going to be embarrassed whether you like it or not. If you hinted to him, so he could always think that you didn't mean it or whatever, he could imagine. People have a great imagination when it's convenient. So at that point, you leave him the opportunity to keep his dignity. And that's why Moshe Rabbeinu says, do it in a hint. Don't go straight. Some idiots brag. I tell it to them as it is, straight to their face. So you're not pikoros. Moshe Rabbeinu says to do otherwise. I said, what are you saying? You're saying straight to their face what the Torah says. The Torah says not to say it straight to their face. So you're saying the Torah against the Torah? It's like a guy going with a loudspeaker on Shabbat saying, everybody should keep Shabbat on a microphone. That's what that is. Same exact thing. There's no difference. You lost it. What are you thinking? You lost your mind. Going on a loudspeaker. Don't keep Shabbat. Keep Shabbat. Same thing. At that point. You have to be careful. This is what the Torah is teaching us. And when does the Torah teach us to us? A parasha we have to read right before Shabbat. What do you mean right before Shabbat? What do we have? In this case, on Shabbat. Right before Shabbat, this is what's important. So of course in halakha there's other reasons as well. But one of the reasons is because the whole reason why we don't have a Bet Mikdash is because of baseless hatred. Baseless hatred, as we've spoken many times, is something that doesn't really exist because it's stupid. We're not that stupid. We're people with intelligence. So what's the baseless hatred that we have? That we turn it into a mitzvah. I have to be mochiach. I got to tell him something. I love when parents tell me, what, so I shouldn't tell my teenager what to do? I said, what are you, a dictator? What's your name? Gorbachev, Putin, this, that. I said, well, what's your name? I said, what are you? You teach, you don't tell. There's a big difference. Of course a father's chayiv in the chinuch of his kid. It's one of the most important mitzvot that exists. Without that, the Torah has no continuation. Chinuch is not to talk. Chinuch is to lead by example. Show an example of who you are. Your kid will see you learning every day, he's going to go to learn. Your kid will see you do chesed, he'll go do chesed. Your kid will see you driving like a normal person, he won't be a reckless driver when he's 17, at night like I see when I come out of the shir. Your kid will see that you don't do drugs, he won't do drugs. Your kid sees everything the opposite by you, that you have a temper, and you say what you want, and you're an alcoholic. What do you want from him afterwards? Sometimes I'm in shul, I can't believe what I see. I go Shabbat morning to shul, I see a guy sitting with 2 children on his side, looks such a beautiful scene, a father with his 2 kids. He's busy schmoozing with his friend, and then when his son talks to his other son, he tells him, Noon, Shah, synagogue. You're sitting here for an hour talking you. And then we wonder why the kid afterwards grows. Besides the fact that now he embarrassed him in shul, now the kid forever and forever is going to associate a shul with a place that he hates. He's not going to have anything to do with Judaism later on, and he's going to be on the next list of opiate addicts. And that's not a maybe, that's 100% for sure. Because he's in so much pain at that point that he needs an outlet. Lead by example. I know many, many boys that today are college students that don't say a word in shul even when you're allowed to. You know why? Because they saw fathers that didn't talk in shul. So that's all they know. They don't know something else. They know that a shul is a place that we respect. Mikdash. So was he mechanech his kid? Yeah, he gave him real chinuch. He showed what? He didn't preach. It doesn't say talk to your sons. It says educate your sons. So when you're studying law, you can have a professor that tells you the laws, you memorize them, you take a test, you pass a power exam. Life doesn't work that way. It's a different story. Comes the Torah and says, you want a Bet Mikdash, the first thing you got to do is stop using my name in vain. Lo tisad Shem Hashem Lashav. It's not only don't swear in God's name in vain. And it says, don't use my Torah for your agendas. Keep my Torah out of your agendas. You have an agenda, you have problems, well, we'll get a punching bag. Let it out somewhere else. Today they have rec rooms, they have all these things. There's a lot of ways that people could let out their energy. Don't do it on other people. Other people, you got to deal gently. Now, I'm not blaming those who do this, by the way, either. Because they also had some crazy person in their life that treated them that way. It's a cycle, it's a vicious cycle. There's no end to it. There's no end to it. I had a wild story a few years ago. I'm going to distort a couple of facts that don't make a difference in the story just because I want to protect identities of great people. But there was a great person who had a title of a mashgiach in the yeshiva that at one point I was in. And he was a tough guy. He was an unbelievable person, but he was a tough guy. One of the things that a lot of yeshiva boys have struggled with is waking up in the morning. I was one of them. Being in yeshiva 7, 10 a.m. to Fashachlis wasn't on my list of things to do. Hashem should forgive me, but I'm telling you the truth. We used to be in the Bet Midrash till at least 4, 4:30 at night every night, learning. So we went to bed, when, at 5 maybe? To get up at 7 was a big Yetzirah. 2 hours later, the Vilna Gaon slept 2 hours. We're not the Vilna Gaon. And it's not like we were such tzaddikim that we wanted to learn till 4:30. Just everybody else was learning. There were nights that at 1 we wanted to call it quits, but we were embarrassed to leave. The place has 300, 400 guys learning. You're embarrassed to walk out at that point. It is what it is. You stay. And by him, 7, 10, you weren't there. He came to your bedroom. There was no games by him. Get up. So I'm not going to talk for others in the yeshiva. I'm going to talk for myself. Yaakov, get up. Get out of bed. Of course, it didn't work. Then he pulls your pillow away. Didn't work. Your blanket comes on. Doesn't work. And then he would say, 2 minutes to water. We all did the Netilat Yadayim in our bed, so we had a cup of water there. 2 minutes later, you want to get up. Boom! Netilat Yadayim on your head. We developed a whole system how to get our pillows dry and a backup pillow under, so after we could still go back to sleep. We had a whole thing working over there. It was out of control what happened. One day I come to him, I say, Chacham, listen, I need a little break, me and my friends. It was a long winter's month. It started to shrei, it was 2 Adars. We were already in the second Adar, we were burnt out as could be. I said, we're going 2-3 days for vacation. He says, no, if you go, you're not coming back. I said, I'm telling you, we're not doing anything productive anyway. We're burnt out. We're going 2-3 days for a break. We're coming back. You don't want to hear about it. We went anyway, because we knew he would take us back. He had a good heart with all the dictatorship. So he calls me on us. Then there was cell phones. It was like at the beginning of the cell phone era. So he calls me on my cell phone, a couple hours into our trip. And he says, come back to yeshiva. I told you you can't leave. I said, Rabbi, we explained you respectfully. We're not trying to violate the rules. We're not trying to fight with you. We need a break. We went, and we're not going to. We're going to holy places. Don't worry about it. That's what I said. And we really were. Where were we going? You could think, what was our sins as yeshiva boys? And we rented a car to go to Rav Shimon Bar Yochai. Big avera we did. But by then it was a big deal. It wasn't acceptable, I guess. I don't know, however they call it. Fine. He tells me, I'm going to chase you down to wherever you are. You're not going to get away with this. You could believe me, you cannot believe me. It must have been 1:15, 1:30 in the morning about. I just remember because I remember people sitting on the floor doing Tikkun Chatzot. We were in Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. We got there. We were so happy. We got there and that. We were saying a little Dillim. I don't think it was so holy what we were doing. We were just looking for a break. But those were the outlets, the yeshiva boys back then. And the Mashgiach walks in. I said, how'd you get to here? He said, I told you I'm going to chase you down to wherever you go. So I told him, okay, so you get mission accomplished, you made your point, you said you're throwing us out, so we're out, so we'll find another yeshiva. Now we were some of the better guys in the yeshiva, so we knew we weren't at risk over it. He says, no, I just wanted to make my point. He says, you could have been in the base manager, brought Rav Shimon Bar Yochai to you. I said, okay, point taken. Fine. 2 days later we came back to yeshiva, he took us right back in, and he was very nice to us. This was 96, 2009. I get a random Israeli phone call on my phone. Pick up the phone, and this man, who I forgot about, he wasn't in my life over 20 years at that point. For like 30 years he wasn't in my life at that point, sorry. He calls me and he says, I need your help. I said, you need my help, what can I do to help you? Gladly, whatever you want I'll do for you, but what can I do to help you? He says, I have a kid who, lo aleinu, went off the derech and that. He fell in love with some American goya. He ran away from Israel and he told me where, one of the states in the US. Maybe you could go chase him down and see if you could save his life. I spent a good few weeks of my life to get a hold of this boy, and Baruch Hashem, he's back in Israel now, he's from, he's Shomer Torah Mitzvot. He's not with the goya, he had Nisei Nisim, he didn't have kids with the goya while he was with the Hashem helped. Maybe 2 years after he was back home, I was at a wedding in Israel. I was in Israel anyway, and I went to attend a wedding of a son of a friend. And this rabbi was there as well, and I knew he was going to be there because it was a yeshiva-affiliated wedding. And he came over to me, and he hugged me, and he kissed me, and he said, I want to thank you, and I want this and that. I said, are you still a rabbi in the yeshiva? So he said, yeah. So I told him, sometimes when we use words freely, like chasing people down, it's not always worth it. He says, I understood very well. Don't worry, I understood that years ago already. And then I asked other boys that are young, that are learning in yeshiva, he said, the guy changed 180 degrees. But unfortunately, I had to come to a situation that his son had to be with a goya in order for him to change his way of doing things. I changed a few tiny details in the story just because I want to protect this tzaddik's identity who's still alive. But then Hashem should give him a long life, and I heard he needs a flush Leiman now as well. But Moshe Rabbeinu says, don't do it that way. What are you going to do? Catch a guy red-handed? What are you going to gain? I'm going to give you a silly example, but this silly example we do all the time, not even in a bad way, we don't even mean it. We think it's humor, but we don't realize how we destroy people. Some people, every person has his Yetzer Hara. Some people have a Yetzer Hara to eat. It's called emotional eating. They're in a bad mood, they eat. They had a good day, they eat to celebrate. They this, they eat. Everything they eat. Everything they eat. Now they also know that it's not a way that it's not good for the heart, it's not good for other things, it causes medical issues. They understand that everybody knows, nobody's stupid, right? People understand it's not healthy. So what do they say? Tomorrow I'm starting a diet. Sounds familiar, right? We all did that. Tomorrow. What's your diet going to be? No cake, no candy, no sugar, no this, no that. Almost sounds like, one of the Gdolim from 800 years ago. No, nothing. He's going to be a Nazir from Olam Hazeh. The guy the day before was able to eat 6 cheese danishes. The next day he's suddenly not going to eat anything. It's a joke. It has no kiyum. It's nothing. And his friends don't believe him. But if you're real friends, don't make fun of him. If you at least say, hopefully, I'm sure you could do it and that. He won't do it, but maybe he'll do 5% less. That'll also benefit him. A little less poison in his body will also help him. If you tell him stupid, you're never going to succeed anyway, you were on 20 diets and you wasted your time, then what's going to happen? His life's going to fall apart. One day he's going to be in cardiac arrest and it's going to be your fault because you didn't encourage him. But now let me tell you the part that we all fall into. He made this big announcement. The next day comes, he's right back in Queen's Pita buying a whole case of cheeseburgers. And you happen to walk into Queen's Pita. You know what you're supposed to do then? Turn around and run out and make sure he doesn't see you. And only after you see he left the store, then go back in. Because if he's going to see you when he's trying to do something right, and he couldn't hold himself back and he did it wrong, he's never going to be able to do something right again. You're going to destroy his confidence to ever do anything right later on in life. So many times parents that are just foolish call me and tell me, I caught him red-handed. I said, if you caught him red-handed, you murdered him. He's never coming back at that point. Make believe you didn't see. I said in the olden days we used to have to close one eye. Today you have to close both eyes. Now for yourself you might have to know to figure out what to do, what the right way to help him is. But don't let him know that you know. Make sure he doesn't know that you know. What a difference. What a difference. So Moshe Rabbeinu told us this. You want to be mochiach in a way that people shouldn't know, that they have a way out of. They don't have to be embarrassed. And there's so many stupid examples like that we just tell people things, and we don't mean bad. We're not bad people. We don't even mean to be critical. We just don't realize, because today everybody says whatever they want. Nobody thinks. Just say. So at that, you die, I'm not going to last a day. You're driving, you deserve the tickets. A guy got 3 tickets and his friend tells him he deserved it. Poor guy now has to deal with a lawyer. His insurance is going to go up, pay fines. I'm not saying he didn't deserve it. You shouldn't drive reckless. But so now you got to spill more salt on it? You deserved it. You drive like a lunatic. For what? You're being Mitzvah Yid. And like this, the Beit HaMikdash ain't coming back. It's that simple. The Beit HaMikdash ain't coming back this way. And even the greatest of the great fell into this trap. Even the greatest of the great fell into this trap. The Stipler Zitzal once said that the reason why, he says he doesn't understand. Hashem made, he didn't say he doesn't understand. I'm presenting it that way to make it easier to understand what he said. So Hashem made an interesting thing. And most of the wealthy people, today it might be different already, but this was then when the Stipler was alive, are in America. And most of the yeshiva students are in Israel. Today, I don't know if that's true anymore, because plenty of wealthy people in Israel, and we have unlimited yeshiva students in America. But we're talking about the Stipler's days, 30, 35 years ago. Then that's the way it was. So what ends up happening? The yeshivot need to be supported. The rich people are in a different country. So now the Israeli rabbis have to close pretty much not be in the yeshiva. It's not closing it, but yeshiva without a yeshiva is a joke. And come to America, why didn't Hashem make that the rich people and the yeshivot should be in the same country and we'll save a lot of headaches that way? And the Stipler said something frightening. Frightening. He says sometimes the yeshiva tells a boy, not out of bad, out of the goodness of his heart, musar, but it was a little too strong. Well, the boy was extra sensitive and he didn't realize and he got hurt. So now he killed the boy. But he didn't kill him purposely. He did it by mistake. He meant well. He really meant well. It's called a rotzeach b'shogeg. According to halacha, what does the pasuk say? If somebody killed somebody else by accident, what does he have to do? He has to run to near miklat. He has to go to galut. Because Baruch Hu made, they should have to go to America to galut, to embarrass themselves knocking on doors, to be mechaper on the sins of them not being gentle with their students in the yeshiva. You hear a crazy thing? Wild, not crazy in a negative way, chas v'shalom. Wild thing with Divek Dushav and the stipends itself. And listen to a cute story. I once said over this stipend, and I said it in a yeshiva. And I was speaking in yeshiva in Israel. Normally yeshiva, they need me. I don't come with a long jacket and that one. It's not. This Rosh Yeshiva insisted that I come. I told him, Chacham, you know more Torah than me. You know what am I going to do in yeshiva? He says, no, my boys, sometimes something a little different is good for them. So I went to the yeshiva, and I didn't know this Rosh Yeshiva. He met me somewhere. I guess he knew me. I went. I said I had extra time. I was in Jerusalem. It was a local yeshiva. A couple hundred guys. Beautiful yeshiva, Sfaradi yeshiva. I spoke. And I spoke about how careful we have to be. Zaru b'chlot chaverchem, ben adam l'chavero. The point that sometimes we don't talk about in the yeshivot enough. And how gentle we have to be and don't tell people what to do and this and that. I didn't know, Hashem should forgive me. Today I'm close friends with this Rosh Yeshiva, don't worry. But this Rosh Yeshiva is a tough guy who, So his students thought that I was talking about him. I didn't know that. To me, he seemed like the most gentle person in the world. Afterwards, somebody told me, I realized I went to his house. I said, I promise you I didn't know. And if you want, I'll go to the yeshiva right now and I'll ask forgiveness in public. I wasn't coming to undermine you and this and that. I'll do it. I was scared. Maybe I embarrassed him. Maybe I undermined his authority. I didn't want to cause damage. To me, he made the opposite extreme impression. He looks at me to my face. This is what honesty is. And he tells me, I heard exactly what I had to hear. And the boys heard exactly what they had to hear. And you were a shaliach from Shamayim descended, and I thank you for it. And I told him, but Shiva, what's going to be going forward? He says, very simple, I'm going to change. Everything's going to be fine. Weird thing. Most of Shivot don't tell you that so simply. But I said, but still, I feel I undermine your respect. You're Talmid Chacham. He said, you didn't undermine my respect. It was perfect. Everything was perfect. He insisted that I don't go. I wanted to go back to ask him, to say in public, I didn't mean you're a Shiva, I'm sorry. Then I told him, I said, I have to ask you something personal. When I met you, this was the first time we ever met. You're the most gentle person in the world. And now the boys told me, and that's why I came to your house, that you're not like that in the yeshiva. I said, so which one are you? So he told me, I'll tell you the truth. He says, I'm naturally a very soft, gentle person. He says, when I'm tough with them, I force myself to be that way. Because I think that they need a wake-up call. He said, so you didn't do me a harm today. You did me the greatest favor in the world. Now I can be myself. He said, that's why I don't feel bad. I don't feel hurt. He said, I thought that was the right way. I was wrong. Now I changed my mind. I'm right. Thank you. Do me a favor. I'm telling you the story. Listen to this amazing thing. This Rosh Yeshiva calls me about a year later. And he tells me, do you come to Israel a lot? I said, yeah, Baruch Hashem, I have the schut, I'm here a lot. He says, come back to the yeshiva to speak. I said, Rabbi, once I screwed up, that was enough. I don't know. He says, you don't understand. You're going to be the guest of honor. We have all the red carpets rolled out. He says, first of all, the boys love you. Because everybody says, since you came, the whole yeshiva system changed, and they love learning, and they're doing better, and everything's great. He says, but second of all, I feel that I owe you a very big thank you. So I said, thank you for what? I didn't do anything. If anything, I made a mess. Hashem helped that it didn't come out a mess. But really, I owe you an apology. You don't owe me a thank you. So he tells me he needed to build a new building. And he went fundraising in different countries. Mexico, Panama, New York. He told me all different places he went to. He says, so everybody gave. Sfaradi yeshiva, good yeshiva, and that. But, 1,000, you're building a building, no matter how many thousands you get like that. He says, I come to one guy in one of the countries that I'm in, and the guy writes me a check of $1.8 million. He says, I almost fainted on the spot. He says, I went in hoping I'll get 5,000 instead of 1,000, like hoping. $1.8 million. And I told the guy, first of all, thank you very much, and what do you want, the building on your name, this, like, whatever you want. But why? Why me? I'm not complaining, but why me anyway? He says, I'll tell you the truth. I happened to have closed a huge business deal yesterday, and this is the maaser of my deal. And I was looking for a good place to give it to. He said, this morning I consulted with the rabbi in our city, what does he think is the best Sephardi yeshiva to give it to in Israel? And he told me there's one yeshiva that's here fundraising, and his students say about him that he's the most gentle person in the world who can't even harm a fly. And no matter what, he's always hugging them and telling them how good they are and encouraging them. Then that clicked with me. So then that's why I gave you the check. So he tells me, Yaakov, so when my new building's finished now, I want you to come to speak in the new building, because really you got me the big donation for the building. Unbelievable. I told him, no, I didn't say that. Moshe Rabbeinu said, you want to build Torah? How do you build Torah? Give tochacha. Sometimes you have to put it, you know. We can't forever tiptoe around people, but hidden, in a secret, in a back door, figure out a way to hide it. Figure out a way to cover it up. There was a guy that learned in a kollel that I used to support. He was a big Talmid Chacham, but he also was like the yeshiva, some of the yeshiva boys, the morning hours weren't his best. Fine, but in a kollel it doesn't work like that, because if one of the guys is one of the biggest brains comes at 12, then little by little everybody's going to come at 12. So I had to get in there on time, not so much for him, I wasn't worried about his ruchnias. He learns whenever he's awake. But for the other guys, so how am I going to do it? So I spoke to the Rosh Kollel. I said, you have an idea? He said, I'll speak to him openly. He's a Yoei Shamayim. I'll tell him that it causes harm. I said, you're going to break him. I don't take risks like that. So I went to the guy one time when I was in Israel, and I told him, listen, Sadiq, you know I pay the bills here. And thank God I'm blessed. We have a surplus in the budget. Wasn't true, who cares? I said, and listen, because we have a surplus in the budget, we want to expand on the things that the kollel does. So we want to start a daf yomi shiur for ba'alei batim before they go to work. 7:45 to 8:30 every morning, the daf. We're willing to pay a guy to come say the shiur, $500 a week. $500 a week in Israel, that's a lawyer's salary practically. Not practically, actually precisely. It's hard to believe, but it's true. A lawyer out of law school at the most makes 8,000 shekel gross, not net. I said, I want you to say the shiur 6 days a week, $500 a week you get. 7:45 in the morning, every day sharp. I said, but you can't be a minute late, because these are ba'alei batim. They have to go to work at 8:30, they have to be already on the way to work. He needed the money. He said, fine, I'm in. I said, but make sure you prepare good and that. Then I go to the Rosh Kollel, I said, now we got a new problem. Who's coming to the shiur tomorrow morning? So we went and spent money on an ad in 2 newspapers that our kollel has a new daf yomi shiur by a Talmid Chacham. We wrote about in titles that they write about the Gedolei Israel, Harav, HaGaon, HaTzadik, HaChasid, HaKadosh, you name it, everything you could write we wrote. 7:45 in the morning, breakfast included. Jews love food. He had a packed house the next morning. This kollel no longer exists because it wasn't needed anymore. It was a kollel that we were trying to get out of it a certain amount of poskim. We succeeded with the mission, we shut it down. But this daf yomi shiur ad hayom exists, and I think it has about 160, 170 people every morning. And this guy now, who used to, before 12, there wasn't anybody to talk to, at 7:45 in the morning, he's already teaching daf yomi to 160, 170 guys. Besides the fact that it gets recorded and goes on all these daf yomi things, who knows how many people in the world hear it. Imagine we would have went the other way. We would have went to the guy and told him, hey, you got to come on time, otherwise we're throwing you out. He would have said, have a good life, I need you. We would have lost a great Magid Shiur and Ami said. It wasn't my idea. I just learned the simple Rashi. Unfortunately, not everybody has the zchut to know a simple Rashi. That's why before we learn Kabbalah and that, it's good to learn Chumash Rashi. We've got to start with the basics. Simple Rashi. That's all it is. Simple Rashi. Let's take it further. We spoke in the past and we spoke about humility and other subjects, so we're just going to repeat the question. Obviously the answer tonight is going to be completely different. How could it be that in Bamidbar, Perek Yud Pasuk Gimel, Moshe Rabbeinu writes about himself, Vayish Moshe anav meod mikol ha'adam asher al pnei ha'adama. I, Moshe Rabbeinu, am the most humble person ever, right? That seems like a contradiction. So we answered all different answers. I want to tell you a new chidush. I didn't know. It's not new. It comes from Shlomo Gazvila, who lived many years ago. I never knew it. Today was the first day I got this. This chidush, I say thank you to my wife for last night. She was very kind to me. She went and bought me a gift, a sefer, and I saw it in the sefer that she bought me. The sefer is called Doresh Tov. Unbelievable sefer she bought. I saw this chidush from Shlomo Gazvila. You know, in the 9 days, you're supposed to be a little bit mema'atim b'simcha. I had a big test today after this chidush, mema'atim b'simcha. I wanted to dance all day. This is what Shlem Kavila says. He says, how could it be Moshe Rabbeinu wrote about himself that he's the most humble person? Second of all, how could it be he was humble at all? He was up in Shamayim, he spoke to God face to face, he brought Torah down to Am Yisrael, he did everything for the Jewish nation. How's it physically, humanly possible to be humble when you're such an accomplished person? It's impossible. So what happened? Shlem Kavila says an unbelievable answer. He says exactly the question is the answer. What does that mean? He says Moshe Rabbeinu was the only person that went up to heaven alive and came back alive. I'm not talking about the stories of Gemara. They saw Gan Eden and spoke to God face to face alive. That's what I mean. That he did the whole thing, 40 days. He didn't eat, and did it more than once. That was the level that he got to. When Moshe Rabbeinu came to Shamayim, he saw the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks at Klal Yisrael. Comes up Shlem Kutzvila and he says, you know what he saw when he saw the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks at Am Yisrael? He saw that when Hashem sees a Jew doing a mitzvah, God makes a big deal out of it. He calls all the malachim and he says, look at my beautiful kids. Look what a mitzvah the guy just did. Unbelievable. Everything's open in heaven. And when a Jew does an Aveirah, Kadosh Baruch Hu makes it a blackout that the malachim shouldn't be able to see, that nobody should know. Makes it as if it never happened. Covers up for it. He says, so he saw how Kadosh Baruch Hu believes that every Jew is so great, he's perfect. He only has mitzvot, he has no avirot. He came back down to the world. Of course he was humble, he felt smaller than everybody. He saw Hashem looks at everybody as big as me, if not bigger. So he didn't even have the test to be a Baal Gava after that. He says, we see things from here, and we decide from here who's right and who's wrong. So to us, we have a test to be arrogant. Moshe Rabbeinu saw things from there. He saw Hashem saying, Mika Amcha Yisrael, who's like my nation? They're perfect, they're amazing. After that, it's very easy to be humble. If somebody goes to somebody else and bashes him for something he's doing, he's an arrogant person. He's a Baal Ga'ava. He's a lowlife. And in his shoresh, he has bad midot. Now, I'm not saying it's his fault. He's probably a victim of abuse, that had a father who did it to him, or a rabbi in school who abused him, or I don't know what. So abuse, the cycle of abuse, it, goes down generations. But be'etzem, that's not the way of the Torah. It has nothing to do with Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu saw the greatness of a Jew, and through seeing the greatness of a Jew, he was able to feel what it means to be humble. Literally. Literally. Shlem Kizvila, Zecher Tzadik Derechas Choter Geneli. Shlach Kadosh says an unbelievable pshat on Pasuk in Mishlei Perek Tet Pasuk Chet. The Pasuk says, Al tochach letz penny snaeka. Don't give tochacha. Don't try to rebuke let's. A guy doesn't take things seriously, he's going to end up hating you. Ochach lachacham v'yoavecha. Somebody who's highly intelligent, pikech, so you can give him musar, because he's going to love you for it. He'll tell you thank you for correcting his mistakes. Comes the Shlach Kadosh and says, the pasuk is not literal. If there's a mitzvah tochacha, there should be a mitzvah tochacha for everybody. If there's no mitzvah tochacha, for nobody. Second of all, if a person's a chacham, so what are you being mochiach him on? He'll figure it out on his own. And if he's not a chacham, so it's a waste of time anyway. Could you tell somebody who has no brain what to do? No, because he has no brain. It ain't going to help. So what does the pasuk mean? So the Shlach Kadosh twists the pshat in the pasuk completely. This is the pshat from the Shlach. There's Gan Eden in this pshat. The Shlach Kadosh says, now you understand why the halakha says you can't learn on Shabbat. Because you're in Gan Eden. Well, there won't be Shabbat. You won't go in the temple. You'll be dancing all day. The Shlach Kadosh says, Al tochach kama. Let's. When you go to give tochacha, don't tell somebody you let's. What are you doing? Penny snaeka, because by doing that, he's guaranteed to hate you. And he's guaranteed to hate the whole Torah. Hochach, if you want to give tochacha, what should you do? Lachacham, go to the person and tell him how great he is. Go to the person and tell him how amazing he is, what a tzaddik he is, how much you love him. V'yoaveka, and he's going to love you and he's going to love the Torah. The Heilige Shlach Kadosh, that's what he says. You know what the Shlach Kadosh teaches us? What a pshat. Isn't this a pshat? A grand slam? Now you understand. I told you. Now you understand why I can't learn on the Shabbat. There's Gan Eden in itself. Gan Eden in itself. You know, I love saying over stories with the Ponovich Rov. I never had the schut to see the Ponovich Rov. In pictures I did, but not live. But I read about him a lot. And I have the schut to be close to the lineage. Very close. So I hear a lot of stories, first hand, second hand, but mainly first hand. But this one I didn't hear, this one I read. I heard it. That's an unbelievable story about the Ponovich Rov. The Ponovich Rov is a genius in everything. I don't know if I said this in the shiur or not, by the way, but if I didn't, just in case I didn't, it's a cute story, that's not what I want to say, but it came to my mind. Abdon Segal told me many years ago when I started speaking, if something comes to your mind, that means Mishamayim, they want you to say it. So just say it, even if it has nothing to do with anything. That's not what they teach you in public speaking school, by the way. They teach you very different than that. But I rather choose Abdon's way. So what came to my mind now was somebody went into maybe I said it a few weeks ago in the shiur, I don't remember. Somebody went into the Chazon Ish because the kid was choking. Did I say this in the shiur a few weeks ago? This kid swallowed a coin and he was choking. So he went into the Chazon Ish, so they should give him a blessing. And the kid just, really I would yell at the guy, what blessing? Go to the ER. Chazon Ish didn't yell at him. But he said, I'm sorry, that's a tough blessing. I'm not on the level to get a blessing, to give him a blessing. And he came with his kid. The kid's almost blue. He's choking, actively choking. And he came to the Chazon Ish for a blessing. Of course, Al-Pi is wrong, but you see the simple Emunah Chachamim people used to have. The Chazon Ish told him, go to the Ponovich Rov right away with your son, it'll be fine. He'll give you a blessing, it'll work. So he asked the Chazon Ish, Rebbe, the Ponovich Rov sends to you always, why are you sending to him? He says, because the Ponovich Rov knows how to get money out of anyone and anything. What's the end of the story? The kid burst out laughing and the coin came flying out of his throat. That's from the Chazon Ish. Ponovich Rov is a brilliant man in every way, shape, and form. He built cars, you know. Ba'al Tzion Tiyah Pleitah V'Hayta Kodesh. That was his promise from the Chavetz Chaim Zitzal Zchutei Yagen Aleinu when he told him to go to Israel. He built Torah. So the Ponovich Rov, of course, with all his projects, he built the Beit Yitomim and the Ponovich and the Koilel and this and that. Fortunes of money. It was before the days of today that every kid has money and donates, Baruch Hashem. It was very hard. He used to have to go around the world, places, Europe, this, that, to beg, and didn't always work out so. But his opinion was, he felt the same exact way that Rabban Kotlas Yitzhak also felt. They never asked for an amount, for a lot of reasons. They said, they used to just to show up. You want to give, give. You don't want to give, don't give. But, so they would show up, you gave, you gave. You didn't give, you didn't give. So once he was in a certain place, and it was in Europe somewhere, and when they said over the story, when I read the story, so it says that the Ponovich Rov never wanted, when he said over the story about himself, he never wanted to say the place, so it shouldn't be Lashon Hara about a Jewish community. So he was there for a while, and he's calling all the rich people and going and whatever, and he says the majority threw him out, they didn't even give him $1. They said, we don't support Torah, let him go to work. And he said, and the few that gave him money that wasn't even enough to cover the cost that it cost him to get there. Like, he didn't even cover his expenses. Forget about raising money for the yeshiva. The yeshiva was desperate. They needed money for the yeshiva. So they didn't know what to do. So he spoke to the Gabbai of the shul if he has any other ideas and that. The Gabbai said, listen, I'm embarrassed, Rabbi. If I had, I would give you everything in the world that I have. He says, but the people in our community don't know how to respect Torah and don't know how to respect Chachamim. So I'm sorry. Forgive me. So the Ponovich Rov said, that's all I wanted to hear. So he said, what do you mean that's all you wanted to hear? He said, I had to make sure I did my best. And now that you told me that's the case, that means I did my best. Fine, I'm going back to Israel. Hashem's going to pay the bills. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. And then the Ponovich Rov calls the Gabbai later on in the day. And he tells him, but I'm asking you for one favor. I have a flight today at 6 p.m. to go back to Israel. I want to speak in the shul at 4 p.m. before I leave. He said, Rebbe, if you think this is your last shot to raise money and that, nobody's going to give you money. It's a waste of time. Don't embarrass yourself. He says, my speech is only going to be for 2 minutes, and I promise not to speak about money. He says, call the people, tell them that the Ponovich Rov wants to speak, a 2-minute speech at 4 p.m., and he promises he's not talking about money, it's not fundraising. Okay, not fundraising, 2-minute speech, the Ponovich Rov right before his flight, that people are curious already. So they came flocking, the whole community came. Nope, the Ponovich Rov starts the speech, this is what he says. He says, the Torah says, Motzah Sfatecha Tishmo, you have to stick to your word. So I said I'm only speaking 2 minutes. I'm already out of a few seconds. Because he just wants to ask one question. Because Yaakov Avinu comes to Haran, and he sees that the shepherds are sitting around the well. And when he sees the shepherds sitting around the well, he turns to them and he says, Achai me'ayin atem. My brothers, where are you from? And they say, we're from Haran. So then he asks them, Aidatem et Lavan ben Nachor. Do you know Lavan, the son of Nachor? Hashalom lo. Is he okay, right? The story that says in the Torah. And they say, yeah, shalom. V'hinei Rachel bito ba im atzon. And Rachel Imenu came right away with the sheep. No. And he turns to them and he says, Hein od hayom gadol lo eit he'asef amikneh hashku atzonu lechu. It's still a long day. Why are you wasting your time sitting around here with the thing? Give them to drink, the animals, and continue walking, continue going with them somewhere so they'll get more to eat, or that. You know, you don't just sit around the well with animals. It's not productive for the animals or for anything. So the Ponovich Rav says he doesn't understand. How old was Yaakov Avinu when this story happened? 63 years old. And go, make the calculation of the years. He was 63 years old. Yaakov Avinu is 63. Yaakov 63 is something that I like, because 63 is Gematria Yagen, so Yaakov, whatever. Yeah. Anyway, Yaakov Avinu is 63 years old, and he comes to a new town, and he sees people sitting around idly. And who was Yaakov? I guess, he probably looked like a Rosh Yeshiva, right? I don't know, something or the other. And we know that for sure. Kol Yaakov, there was a certain identity to Yaakov Avinu. So this rabbi comes to town, a 63-year-old man, and within the first 2 minutes, he already starts telling them what to do. Hey, no dayam gadol, how are you running your business? Imagine some random rabbi from Israel comes into your company, you're running a multi-million-dollar empire, and before he tells you good morning, he says, that sales guy you should fire, this one you should do this. He'll throw him out on his head, what do you know about business? Yaakov Avinu comes, his first 2 minutes. First he asks about Lavan, that because he wanted, that was a shidduch he needed to know. As soon as he was done with his personal question that he needed, he starts preaching. Hey, no dayam gadol, the people hate being told what to do. So the Ponovich Rav says, why didn't the people answer him? Rabbi, nobody asked you for advice. Nobody wants your advice. Mind your own business. We'll gladly welcome you to our town. You could stay wherever you want. We'll help you out. We'll do whatever you want. But why didn't they just throw it right back in his face? Instead, they answered it very respectfully. They said, you know why we're sitting here? Because we can't get the stone off. Why can't we get the stone off? Because it's a very heavy stone that's covering the well. And there's not enough of us here. We're not strong enough. So when everybody together gathers, then all our strength combined, we could open the well, and then the animals could drink, and then we leave. They should have answered him, what, you just came here, you're starting to tell us what to do already? Give your answers to somebody else. Instead, the Torah says they answered him so gently, so nicely, so... How does it work? The Ponovich Rav asked this question, and it says, my 2 minutes are up, thank you very much, I got to go to the airport. Good sales pitch, no? It's always the best way. So of course the people came running, Rebbe, what do you mean? What's the answer? He said, what does it make a difference what's the answer? He said, I had a question, I asked it. If you have an answer, tell me. If not, I got to make it to the airport. It's not a joke, 6 o'clock flight. So one of the more stronger characters in the shul says, Rebbe, listen to me good. We're not big people of Torah, but now you got us curious. So finally we want to hear a pshat in Torah, and even now you're not going to give us. So he caught the Rav in a soft spot. So the Ponovich Rav told him, let me tell you exactly what he answered him nicely. He said they saw a rabbi, this was his words based on the way it's brought down in the book of the story. They saw a rabbi that came with a long frock, a long white beard, and an up hat. And they were all non-religious Jews. And most of them were goyim. There wasn't even Jews then, according to some Rishonim. And they said, this fanatic rabbi is going to come kill us now. He's going to give us musar, he's going to yell at us, he's going to this, it's going to be bad news. So they didn't offer to say hello to him. They kept the distance, let's survive this peacefully, as we call it. And what was the first thing he told them before he asked anything, before he said anything? This rabbi that they were expecting him to attack them, came and said, Achai, you're my brothers, I love you. Hashalom, is this one okay? Is that one okay? How's he feeling? How's he doing? Took interest in everybody's life. At the end, he also threw in a comment, by the way, it's a shame to waste time. He said, because he came to them with so much love of Achai, that's why afterwards he was able to get away with the rest. That's why afterwards he was able to get away with the rest. You hear what the Pavan said? And he left. As he was going to get driven to the airport, one of the gentlemen of the shul was a very wealthy man who had given him a few dollars before. It wasn't dollars, it was the currency of that country. Came over to him and told him, Rebbe, before you leave, I take back, I gave you so little money, it's embarrassing. Now I see your love for Jews, I didn't understand what you're doing. Now it just hit me. And he wanted to give him a huge amount of money. And the Pavan handed him back the envelope and he said, I promised when I walked into the shul that I'm not fundraising, I'm not going to take $1. Motzas fatecha tishmor. He went into the car and went to the airport. He didn't take the money. A few months later, this rich man who was burning him so badly, the fact that he didn't respect the Pavan, he went from all his friends, raised a crazy fortune of money, flew to Israel special, brought the money to Panovich Yeshiva, left it in the Panovich room's office, and disappeared. And that's how they expanded Panovich Yeshiva with that money. What built Torah in Am Yisrael? What built one of the prestigious yeshivot in Am Yisrael? What built the Batei Avot of Panovich? What kept things going when everything was done? Everything was broke. There was no money out there. It wasn't like today. There was no GoFundMe and charity and this and that. It didn't exist. Achai! That pshat of the Panovich Rov. You're my brothers! Take interest. How you feeling? How's your family? How's the wife? How's the kids? How's the job? How's the parnosa? How's the health? Take interest in somebody else's life. Is there anything I can do for you? Is there any way that I can make your day easier or better? That achai! That's what built Torah in Am Yisrael. Pshat from the Pavan Gan Eden. And now take away from this two things. We want to get our Jewish pride back, and we want to build a third temple. And here's the way we're doing it. The third temple, Chazal says, coming down from Shamayim in fire. On the other hand, there's a direct contradiction. The Gemara says that you don't take Tinokot Shel Beit Rabban out of the learning in order to build the third Beit Mikdash. If it's coming down in fire, so what do you don't have to build it. And if it's not coming, and if it's coming down, why is it coming down in fire? What's the whole thing that's going on over here? So the answer is like this. We build it here in attitude, and they build it there physically. We build it here through making over there the fire of a Jew. Through showing Hashem that we also took the way Moshe Rabbeinu saw the way Hashem looks, Mika Amcha Yisrael. When we understand the way Hashem looks at a Jew, so suddenly we're proud to be Jewish ourselves, and we're proud of every Jew no matter what he's up to in life. Because that's the way Hashem looks at Am Yisrael. And when we do that from here, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, now the stone part I burned, so midah keneged midah, as we say, ki ata Hashem ba'esh heitzatta u'ba'esh ata atid livnota. Because you, God, burnt the Beit Mikdash in fire, and one day you're going to rebuild it in fire. Unbelievable. Now I want to tell you a pshat. I don't know if it's permissible to say or not. But I got the askama of a few of my friends that are normally big critics, so if it passed them, I'm assuming it's okay. Chazal ask, and later on the Rishonim and the Achronim ask, Mizmor le'asaf, Elokim ba'u goyim benachlatecha, timu et echal kodshecha, samu et Yerushalayim le'yim, and so on. Mizmor, a praise, le'asaf. What's the praise? What's the song? Ba'u goyim benachlatecha, the Gentiles came, Timu et echal kodshecha, they made the temple impure, they destroyed the temple. They killed Jews. Read the Tehillim there. Tragic things, right? The whole Perek Tehillim, I'm sure the girls know it by heart. It says tragic, tragic things there. That's a song? Imagine you heard a singer today making a song about the Holocaust. Millions of Jews dying in Auschwitz. You'd murder the guy, right? The guy wouldn't stay alive for one day. You make a song about that? So Chazal already asked, it should say Kinala Asaf. This is a mourning, this is not a song. So Chazal of course answer, the song is Shafach Hamato Leitzim Ba'alavanim. The Baruch Hu took it out on rocks instead of taking it out on the Jewish people. I wanted to add on, I'm adding on to Chazal Chas Shalom, I wanted to just say a little twist. You know what part of the Mizmor was? That HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed us that a Jew is protected. Even when the Jews went to the worst situation in the world, Avodah Zarah, Gilui Arayot, Shfichut Damim, Sinat Chinam, all the Averot in the world, still, Shafach Hamato Leitzim Ba'alavanim. Who did I look at bad? The stones. The stones I blamed it on. Today, when everybody's busy saying the internet, the smartphones, this, to that, I say it's the biggest limud zchut on Am Yisrael. That all the averot never come from this web, from the, not all, but some, from other things. Mikam Chai Yisrael. And with all of that, Am Yisrael Chai v'Kayam, and people still try and continue and do and get closer and fight the Yetzer Hara hour and hour, minute after minute, every day, against all odds. Against all odds. So if we really want to base on Mikdash, events on Shabbat, we're not going to bring it, let me promise you that. It's a nice way to pass the day, if otherwise you're going to sit and play Nintendo, but beyond that, you know, that's not the... Action is what does it. Action is what does it. If you need something, guy needs a medicine, goes to the pharmacy, gives a prescription, pharmacist tells him, wait 10 minutes, it'll be ready, right? They have to put it in the bottle with a label in the back. He leaves, never comes back. He goes back to the doctor a week later, you gave me a prescription, I'm dying, it didn't help. The doctor tells him, you took the medicine? He says, no, I gave the pharmacist the thing. He said, the pharmacist is not sick, she doesn't need, or he doesn't need the prescription. You need the medicine to take. Speeches and events and this and that, that's the prescription. That's not going to build the Beis HaMikdash, but that's leaving it by the pharmacist. That's very convenient. It feels good, spiritual, we make events and we do this and we do that. There's only one way. Moshe Rabbeinu tells us the way right before Shabbat. He says, you want a third temple? Be careful how you talk to people. Be careful what you say to people. Take Yaakov Avinu, Bechir Avot. Take his idea, what he taught us. Titan emet li Yaakov. What's the emet? What's the right way? At Achai, Achai. I'm looking. And who took that from him? Yaakov's favorite son, whatever that means, quote unquote, was Yosef. To understand what that means, that's why I said quote unquote. What did Yosef say when he went down to look for his brothers before they ended up kidnapping him? Et achai anochi mevakesh. If you care about Klal Yisrael, there's only one way to go about it. Et achai. These are my brothers. And I'm saying this at a very hard time to say it. I'm not going to lie to you. Because I don't know how much you follow what goes on in Israel and what doesn't. But if you do, Hashem should help that these tzaddikim that are so lost in their pain and in their sicknesses and in who knows what, should change their minds. But there's this whole movement in Israel that they're on Shabbat, they have nothing better to do but to fight for rights of people that don't know better and do big averot. And on the night when I saw that, my instinct was to like blow up. And then I thought to myself, what's that going to help? That they'll hate Judaism even more? What's that going to help? Et achai anochi mevakesh. These are lost souls. Just sit and cry and say Tehillim for them. Hashem should give them a flush them out. They're sick people. We have to cry for them. Hashem should give them a flush them out. They should get healthy. And the same thing with everything else has been going on lately. Et achai anochi mevakesh. And Kosh Baruch was sending us a message. We got a military in Israel. God bless them. These soldiers, Kedoshei Elyon, kids that risk their lives for the sake of the country. I don't care if they're forced into it or not. They're holy people. Gershon Edelstein said many times that we have to give them a lot of respect. I'm not talking about the Jobnikim and those guys that do nothing. I'm talking about the ones that actually do something. Those guys maybe also, I don't know. But when I say guys, I'm stressing the men, because for women it's Yarek Valley Avot to go to the army. But it's, you know, they have a very sophisticated military. With all this technology, with all of this, the U.S. buys from Israel technology, exchanges with the whole world. Israel gets submarines from Germany. They're as updated as could be with everything. Did you see what's going on in the past 3-4 weeks? A couple of young kids with kites are making a fool out of the whole Israeli army. They're investing hundreds of millions of dollars to invent drones that will shoot laser beams to knock down the kites of these stupid kids. Could you believe that that's what would happen? We have tanks, we have atomic bombs that we don't talk about, of course. We have all the Fs of the bombers, F-16s, F-35s, F-this. We got a military of 170 or whatever thousand soldiers. The high-tech country, the startup country, this, that. And a couple of young idiots with no education, Bnei Yishmael, Machshamam Hashem Zichram, that with kites are causing us hundreds of millions of shekel damage a week, are destroying the country, and this week it went even worse. They actually caused injuries to people. Who would believe? They don't need no Iran, no nukes, no nothing. Kites. Sounds like going to Queen's Park and seeing the little kids running around with their kites. That's exactly the way it is, by the way, if you see the videos. Who would believe that? But how do they do it? They put a fire thing on the bottom. It lands in fields, it burns, it causes damage. And now it puts, the soldiers at risk. You can't kill them because they're young kids, and then CNN will have what to say. All the Husseins. And you can't do anything against it, so they have an upper hand when it comes to that. With fire. And when did this start? Not exactly, but around a week after Rosh Chodesh Tammuz, right around Shabbat Tammuz. That's like Baruch Hu sending a message. I'm bringing down fire from Shamayim to you. I want to burn a few stupid in the Beit Mikdash. Just say yes. Just say you're interested. That's all. Just say yes. That's it. Just take me up on my invitation. And that same Eish, Atati Livnota, is going to rebuild Am Yisrael. But that Eish has to come from a spark of fire, of Kedusha inside of us, not to look for fantasies and I'm going to be holy, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do the other. Just to look to love people, to look to love humanity, and mainly to look to love Jews. Just to love people. He's your brother, to remember that Yisrael. And even when there's a case that has to be done different, to remember the Yisrael from Moshe Rabbeinu. Rashi is, what does it say by Rashi? That before he wrote his Pirush on the Torah, he fasted 613 days straight, except for the days that you're not allowed to fast al pi halacha, that he should have siyata d'shmaya. And besides for that, the Nisei Nisim. And Chazal, this is with testimonies of many other Rishonim, that the entire Rashi was written on Ruach HaKodesh. And Rashi comes and says, you want to know the Eitzah? With a hint. Indirectly. Gently. Smart. Go about it that way. If we do that, b'vadai, Baruch Hashem, we should be zocher already before. Chazal say that Mashiach can't come on Friday and Shabbos because of Chanot of Shabbat and whatever. But they say over B'Shem the Tzaddikim, the Baal Shem Tov and others, that today he's allowed to come already Friday, Shabbat, anytime, because Pikuach Nefesh, we need him a second earlier. So hopefully we should be able to celebrate Motzei Shabbat and not mourn. B'Viat Mashiach Tzidkenu, Merav Yamin, Amen, Amen. Thank you very much.